I spent $9,400 on a dream trip to Japan for my dad. Then they replaced me with my brother's girlfriend. 3 days before departure, my mom texted that my spot was given away because she's more fun. I'd planned everything, paid every cent, and they tossed me aside like baggage. That was the day I canceled everything and took back my house, my money, and my peace. Before we get started, hit that subscribe button and tell me where exactly you are watching this from. Hi, I'm Jake, 32, and last month my life blew up when I booked a $9,400 dream trip to Japan for my dad's 60th birthday, and got replaced by my brother's girlfriend because, quote, she's more fun. That was the moment I decided to go nuclear. Let me set the scene. I'm the oldest son, the responsible one. The one who picks up the slack when Kevin, my golden boy brother, inevitably screws up. I bought the house my parents live in rent-free, paid for Kevin's college, covered his car when he couldn't, co-signed a loan for Madison. Yes, that Madison, Kevin's TikTok girlfriend who moved in after knowing him for 60 days and turned my living room into a studio for lip syncs and dance trends. But this trip? This was supposed to be my olive branch, my offering, my, hey, maybe we can be a family again gesture. I spent 3 months planning it. Coordinated the flights, reserved rooms in Tokyo and Kyoto, arranged passes for the Shinkansen, even booked us seats at a kaiseki dinner Dad once saw in a documentary. I paid for everything: flights, hotels, restaurants, experiences. I even booked separate rooms so everyone could have privacy. I didn't expect gratitude. I never do. But I also didn't expect this. 3 days before departure, I get a text from my mother. Hey, sweetie, quick update. We gave your spot to Kevin's girlfriend. She's more fun. Hope that's okay. That was it. No apology. No explanation. Just that. Like I was a seat filler they upgraded last minute. My fingers hovered over my phone. I typed, got it. Just that. And then I got to work. Flights canceled, hotels gone, passes voided. The whole trip vaporized in 20 minutes. I even called the hotel manager and flagged the group for unauthorized charges. But I wasn't done. That night, I changed the locks. Legally, it was my house. Had been for 5 years. They lived there on my generosity, which they apparently confused for obligation. Not anymore. When they returned from their ruined family vacation, they found their keys didn't work. Their cards declined, and a rental agreement on the door, triple the old rent. But that's not where this story starts. Let me tell you how I went from the family doormat to the guy who torched their Tokyo dreams with one text. It started, as most disasters do, with good intentions and poor boundaries. I had this fantasy. Take Dad to Japan for his 60th. Finally see him light up about something that wasn't the weather or the price of gas. He used to talk about Kyoto like it was Mecca. Before my knees go, I want to see those cherry blossoms in person. Mom loved sushi so much, she had her own soy sauce brand rankings. And Kevin, he said he wanted real ramen, not the Mauritian kind. So I did it. I made it happen. I ignored the tiny voice in my head whispering, they won't appreciate this. Because I wanted to believe that love, real love, looked like sacrifice. I figured, they raised me. I have a good job. This is my chance to give back. So I gave. I gave every free evening and weekend to planning this thing like a professional travel agent. Scoured forums for the best ryokans. Matched bullet train schedules to shrine opening hours. I even booked a tea ceremony Mom once said she'd die to experience. Upgraded their flights to premium economy so they'd have leg room. Booked myself in economy, middle seat, back row. Didn't matter. It was about them. And all the while, Kevin loafed around our shared home like a guest at a spa. He hadn't had a real job in years. Said he was still figuring things out, which seemed to involve an alarming amount of couch and FIFA. Madison moved in shortly after they started dating. No conversation, no rent, just a slow takeover of the space like a weed in my garden. I told myself I was being generous, that I was creating a memory we'd all cherish, that maybe, for once, I wouldn't be invisible. Then came the text. We gave your spot to Kevin's girlfriend. She's more fun. Not, we talked about this. Not, would you mind? Just replaced. Like I was a backup dancer who got cut because Madison had better hair and a bigger ring light. And that's when it hit me like a gut punch laced with every Christmas morning I paid for, every just until he gets back on his feet. Every time I made excuses for their silence. I wasn't family. I was a resource. A credit line with a pulse. They didn't think I'd get mad. Hell, they didn't think I'd do anything, because I never had before. But this time, I burned it all down. The first domino fell with a quiet click. That call from the Tokyo hotel was the matchstick. I remember it clearly. Late afternoon, sun bleeding through the blinds, casting long golden lines across the living room floor. The phone rang, and I almost didn't answer. I was in that dazed, slow burn kind of anger. The kind where you stare at walls and try to figure out how much of your life was real and how much was just you convincing yourself it was. Mr. Adams, the voice said, polite, careful. We're contacting you because the credit card associated with your reservation has been declined, and there's a discrepancy with the guest list. A guest not previously authorized has been added to the suite. A Miss Madison. That's when I stopped listening. They didn't just replace me emotionally. They literally frauded me out of my own reservation. They used my credit card, my name, and my generosity as the doormat they wiped their feet on before stepping into a 5-star suite I paid for. And they figured, what? That I'd never find out? That I'd just sit here sipping coffee like Dad and let them? Nah, not this time. The conversation with the hotel ended with a phrase I didn't know I had in me. Cancel the reservation. Immediately. If they refuse to vacate, call security. They are not authorized. There was a long pause. A very long pause. Sir, the manager finally said, they are currently occupying the suite. You understand that? I do, I cut in. Let them figure it out. And just like that, I detonated the trip. Every hotel, every ticket, every reservation nuked. I flagged the charges, canceled the cards, shut down access to every financial pipeline they had become addicted to. I had control of the house utilities, the auto payments, the family Spotify. I was the infrastructure. And now I was pulling out like a contractor after a bad bid. I could have stopped there, but it wasn't enough. Not anymore. I walked through the house that night like a man surveying a battlefield. This was my home. Bought it at 28, paid every damn cent. And for 5 years, it had become their playground. They brought their mess, their chaos, their entitlement. And I let them. I watched Kevin take over the den for his gaming setup, saw Madison use my laundry room like her personal spa, listened to my mom talk about her kitchen like she hadn't contributed a dime. They'd created a kingdom on my land, so I stripped it back to stone. Furniture? Gone, donated or sold. Their clothes, trinkets, books, half-empty shampoo bottles, boxed and stacked in the garage like relics of a religion I no longer practiced. I changed the locks, updated the alarm codes, even reset the Wi-Fi password. Left a copy of the new lease on the counter with rent set at current market rates, triple what they paid before. A sticky note on top. Effective immediately, welcome to reality. They came home 2 days later. Their plane landed late. I got the alert from the ring cam. Motion detected. Front porch. Then, the pounding began. Not a polite knock, not a call to reason. Just Kevin's entitled fist on the door like he was the one wronged. Madison's shrill voice cut through the quiet. My mom's cries started soft, then got sharper. I opened the door a crack, just enough to see their stunned, tired faces. Luggage at their feet. Madison barefoot. Why is she always barefoot? What happened to our keys? Kevin demanded, already posturing like I owed him something. Oh, I said, sipping coffee. You mean the ones I had rekeyed don't work anymore? His jaw dropped. Are you serious right now? I nodded. Dead serious. Mom pushed forward, bags under her eyes, face red. We just got off a 14-hour flight, Jacob. We're exhausted, hungry. You're trespassing, I said evenly. Private property. You're not on the lease. Madison actually laughed. This condescending, disbelieving snort like I was a bad actor in a revenge play. You're locking out your own family. I stared at her. You're not my family. That landed like a slap. Kevin looked stunned. Wow, this is messed up. You humiliated us. We had to find a new hotel in Osaka. No money, no Wi-Fi, nothing worked. The cards... Yeah, I cut in. That's what happens when you commit credit card fraud. Mom gasped. Fraud? Jacob, that's dramatic. I pulled up my phone, showed them the email from the hotel. Unauthorized guest, charges reversed. Kevin sputtered. I didn't. Madison just used my name, I said, to enjoy a suite I paid for. After kicking me off the trip I planned. Their silence was delicious. And then I stepped aside. Let them look into the house. No couch, no table, bare walls, empty bookshelves, their temple of comfort, cleansed. You emptied the house, Mom said. I shrugged. My house? Kevin's fists clenched. You're punishing us for one mistake. One mistake? I laughed. You stole my vacation, used my credit, threw me out of my own plans because Madison was more fun. Do you even hear yourselves? Madison folded her arms. You're just mad we had a better time without you. I stepped outside, closed the door behind me. You think this is about Japan? I said quietly. You think this is about one trip? They looked at me, still clueless. This is about every year I carried this family like a pack mule while you laughed behind my back. It's about how you decided my value was tied to how much I gave. It's about the fact that you didn't just forget me, you replaced me. With a stranger. Mom opened her mouth. I held up a hand. Don't, I said. Don't say it was a mistake. You meant it. You chose her because she was fun. Because I'm the one who does the planning, the booking, the paying. And you thought I wouldn't do anything. That I'd roll over like always. Kevin's voice cracked. So what? We're homeless now. No. You've got 2 weeks. Then eviction proceedings begin. Rent's tripled. Utilities are yours. And no, the guest suite is locked. Madison's not my responsibility anymore. She scoffed. You can't do this. I pulled out a copy of the lease from my coat. Legally? I can, and I did. They stared at me like I'd become a different person. Maybe I had. Or maybe, just maybe, I'd finally stopped pretending to be the person they wanted. Someone quiet, giving, useful. Someone who smiled while being drained. And for the first time, standing on my own porch, in front of the family that used me like a bottomless well, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Power. 3 days. That's how long it took after they returned before the silence cracked. No apologies, no group chat drama. Just quiet. Like they were all waiting for me to snap out of it and go back to normal, meaning pay their bills and pretend I didn't get replaced by Kevin's girlfriend. Day 4, my phone lit up. Mom, can we talk? We all made mistakes. Please don't do this to your father. Translation, we're not sorry, but we hate the consequences. I didn't reply, and that's when the fallout began. First, the money dried up. I'd pulled my name from every shared card, shut down every auto pay. Madison's card got declined at a coffee shop downtown. I know because I got the notification. 5 minutes later, she posted an Instagram story. Some people are just vindictive. Then she deleted it. I didn't screenshot it. I just smiled. A week in, the new rent hit. Triple the old rate. I got an email from the family account. Hi, we're struggling with the rent. Can we discuss alternatives? Nope. And then Kevin started working. Gym front desk, folding towels. A guy from my gym texted me, surprised. I wasn't. Desperation tends to inspire sudden work ethic. Madison didn't stick around. She left 2 weeks in, unfollowed the whole family, scrubbed their photos. Fun only lasts as long as the free ride. Kevin texted, "I messed up. Mads left." "You were right." I stared at it for a while. Didn't answer. Silence felt better than, "I told you so." Then came the real twist. My lawyer called. My parents were claiming partial ownership of the house. Said they'd contributed financially over the years. It was laughable. They hadn't paid a cent. But the fact that they'd try, after everything, that told me everything I needed to know. So I replied to Mom's latest guilt trip with a single line, "You raised me to serve you. That ends now." And that was the last thing I said to them. Kevin fell apart fast without an audience. Once Madison left, ghosted, blocked, deleted. The illusion shattered. No girlfriend to gas him up. No free ride from me. No curated storylines about how he was just taking time to find his passion. Suddenly, the guy who laughed at my spreadsheets and called me boring was folding towels at the gym and delivering pad thai in a beat-up Civic. He texted again a week after Madison moved out. "I miss how things used to be. I didn't get it before. I get it now." Still, I didn't reply. Not out of cruelty, because by then there was nothing left to say. He wasn't talking to me. He was talking to the version of me he thought would rescue him again. The old me. The one who said yes even when I meant hell no. That guy's gone. Meanwhile, my mom kept trying to guilt me through silence. Passive-aggressive texts, biblical-level subtext. One said, "Your father doesn't say it, but this is breaking his heart." Another, "We didn't raise you to be like this." I finally answered, "You raised me to be useful. Now I'm free." That must have hit a nerve. Because 2 days later, she sent a literal voice memo of herself crying, saying things like, "We're still your family, and we all need help sometimes." The irony would have been hilarious if it hadn't been so insulting. They needed help? Sure. But help, in their world, always meant me. My money, my time, my credit, my sanity. And now that all of that was off limits, they flailed. Dad, as usual, said nothing. He never does. His loyalty was always to the middle ground, to whatever kept things quiet. And now that the quiet was broken, he retreated deeper into his shell. The man once obsessed with Kyoto's cherry blossoms now couldn't even pick up the phone to say, "We screwed up." That told me everything. The lawyer confirmed what I already suspected. Their house claim was empty. No records, no proof. Just entitlement masquerading as ownership. Like if they said it confidently enough, it would become true. It didn't. By the second month, Kevin missed rent. I gave him a single warning notice. Formal. Through email. He replied with a 6-paragraph essay on how I was destroying the family for my own ego. I didn't even open it. That same day, I moved into my new apartment. A loft downtown with big windows, concrete floors, no furniture I didn't pick, and no sound except the one I finally recognized as peace. I slept better that week than I had in years. No thudding bass from Kevin's game nights. No loud TikTok monologues from Madison in the hallway. No guilt-curdled dinners with Mom pretending everything was fine while quietly tallying the debt she thought I owed her. Just quiet. Earned quiet. I started going on evening walks again, cooked real meals, bought books I actually wanted to read, signed up for a class, just because. I even found myself smiling in elevators for no reason, not because someone made me happy, just because I felt light. And somewhere between my third solo dinner and my first full night of sleep in a bed that was mine, it hit me. This wasn't revenge anymore. It was recovery. Kevin finally moved out. He left behind a single garbage bag of clothes, a cracked phone charger, and a scribbled note that just said, "Guess this is goodbye." No apology. No thank you. Just that. I stood in the empty room for a while, staring at the dent in the wall where his gaming chair used to slam. The carpet still smelled like takeout and bad decisions. I opened a window and let the cold air wash through it all. They were all gone now. Mom stopped messaging after I ignored her last dozen attempts. Dad never reached out. No surprise there. He'd made silence his language long ago. I used to think it meant peace. Now I knew it meant permission. I donated the rest of the furniture, shut off the utilities, listed the house for rent the next week. Within 48 hours, I had a new tenant, a nurse moving to the city for work. She thanked me for the clean space, said it felt peaceful. I smiled. Funny how fast peace shows up once you stop begging people to respect you. A few days later, I got a message from Lisa, Kevin's ex, the one before Madison. We barely talked back then, but she'd always seemed sharp. Hey, I heard what happened. Just wanted to say, I always saw how they treated you. I'm glad you finally walked away. It landed harder than it should have. A stranger seeing me clearer than my own family ever had. Sometimes validation doesn't roar. It just knocks gently and says, "You're not crazy." I wasn't cruel. I was just done. It's been 3 months. 3 months since I pulled the plug. Since I stopped funding other people's comfort and started investing in my own sanity. Since I stopped being the lifeboat for a family that never once asked if I could swim. The silence now. It's not empty. It's sacred. No more surprise texts from Kevin asking for a tiny loan. No more messages from Mom wrapped in guilt and manipulation. No more quiet glances from Dad that said nothing and meant even less. They've faded. Not just from my inbox, but from my daily orbit. Like ghosts who stopped haunting a place once the doors were locked and the lights turned off. What's left is space. Mental space, emotional space. Space to hear my own thoughts without them being drowned out by someone else's crisis. I wake up in a downtown loft filled with clean light and silence. The furniture is mine. The life is mine. The peace is mine. I go to bed each night not wondering who's going to need me tomorrow. I stopped waiting to be needed. I started learning how to just be. And next week, I'm flying to Iceland. A solo trip. Northern lights, cold air, 1,000 miles from the wreckage I left behind. It's the first vacation I've ever booked just for me. No carefully curated itinerary for others. No adjusting plans for Kevin's picky eating or Mom's back problems. No group photos where I take the picture and never get to be in it. Just me, under a glowing sky, finally still. And standing there, wrapped in silence and starlight. I know what I'll say to myself. Not in bitterness, not in anger, just in truth. I am not your bank. I am not your backup plan. I am not your safety net. I am not your guilt sponge. I am not your ATM in a hoodie. I was never your problem. I was your solution. And now that I'm gone, you're just left with the problem. I used to think walking away made me selfish. Now I know it made me whole. You don't have to keep the people who only love you when you're useful. You don't have to stay broken just to make others comfortable. You don't owe anyone your peace, and you sure as hell don't owe anyone your silence. I was the scaffolding that held up their lives. They called it a family, but it was a house of cards. And the moment I stepped away, it all fell. And I didn't look back, not once,